like I was saying, the sort of the cost is generally the biggest factor stopping people buy Thermomix. And all I would say is, from the benefit of over 2 years of experience in this business now, don't worry about it, because you will get back what you spend 10 times over. And I work very closely with my customers to help them pay back the cost of the machines as quickly as possible. And we reckon most people get there within a year. And even if you are a cook from scratch sort of person, you will still save at least £10 a week off your food shopping, just because you will be able to cook so many things that you would have ordinarily bought, even if you're a scratch cook. Things like, it's so easy to make your own yogurt, it's so easy to make your own ketchup, it's so easy to make all your own bread. And it really is just a completely transformational kitchen appliance in a way that you've never come across it before. I was the biggest skeptic out there. I said no to it for over 5 years. And it was actually coming to a demo and seeing it in the flesh and seeing it work that really changed my mind. So that's why I'm really passionate about showing people what it can do at my demos. And when you buy Thermomix, you also join a great community of owners. So I've got a really interactive group on Facebook. I work very closely with my customers on Facebook to inspire them. We all inspire each other. People share the recipes that they've cooked and that they've been particularly impressed by. So there's a big forum there available to you of help. And when you buy a Thermomix, it also comes with a trained advisor to help you get the most out of your machine. Okay, so there is a lot of support available to you. It's not like when you just go to John Lewis and you pick up a blender or a KitchenAid and you get it home and you're on your own. You've got me at the end of the phone, just holding your hand and walking you through everything step by step. And we also, as part of our 5-star service to our customers, will offer you a welcome visit. Now that these days is done virtually, because of course we can't come into your homes, but we will be on the other end of a Zoom or a FaceTime, just helping you get started and cooking alongside you as well. So, you know, that is a really amazing thing to be able to offer our customers. So I just want to show you, first of all, my screen so you can see what I look at, because this is really important for you to have a look at and understand. So the first thing you'll notice is we've got this screen on the front of the machine. All our recipes are laid out in terms of time, temperature and speed. Okay, you don't need to worry too much about all of this to get your head around when you're working on a guided recipe. What do I mean by a guided recipe? Well, if you have a look at my weekly planner, you will see when it loads, I've got a whole load of recipes in here that I've put to cook today, actually, because I've done lots of demos. So you can see what I've been cooking all day. And then I've got a couple that are one in for tomorrow and one in for Saturday as well. So this is controlled through an app called Cookie Do, and the app is available on your phone or on a website, on the internet. And through Cookie Do, you can search our online database of about 60,000 recipes. You can schedule what you want to cook today, what you want to cook tomorrow, what you want to cook next week, next month. You then can create a shopping list of ingredients that you will need to do those recipes. You can edit and amend that shopping list, add to it, take away, and then you can sync that shopping list with an online shopping provider. So you can send it straight over to Asda or Tesco or Ocado or Amazon Fresh in order to compare the store prices and then go on and buy your ingredients and have them delivered to your door. So all you've got to do is put your shopping away, and then the Thermomix will take over and cook your food for you. So not only does it plan everything for you, it also shops for you and it cooks for you. And get this, it even washes itself up at the end. So it really is an incredible machine. So that is my weekly planner. On top of that, if I just go back, I've got my recipes. So this is a combination. I've got both saved collections, which are the Cookie Do, like cookery books on Cookie Do. So if I just scroll down here, there's a lovely Thermomix Christmas book here. I'll just load that. And you can see, so this is a collection of about 80 recipes. There's some lovely things in here. And if you have a look down and decide that you want to cook something, you just tap it and press start cooking, okay? And then it will take you straight into that recipe. So let's just come back out of that. And not only that, you can create your own folders on here. So I've got my created collections. So you've got folders for any sort of cuisine here, ranging from, you know, Asian to French to, you know, American, lots of plant-based healthy things, puddings, naughty stuff, sweet treats, cakes, biscuits, curries. You can create a collection and call it whatever you want. So it's a really good way of organising all your recipes. So let me just walk you through, show you the functions. Now, if I go back to the home screen, if I swipe across on there, you'll notice we've got weighing scales. So that's one of my favourite features. You've got these inbuilt weighing scales. You can make dough, and it's got a super fast knead function, which we'll see in a minute. So you can knead dough in about 2 minutes. It cleans itself, and on the clean you can determine whether you've been making dough, whether you just want to give it a universal clean, whether it's had fat or caramel in it, so it needs to run at a higher temperature, or whether it's got a slightly brown base, and then it will clean itself for you depending on what you have been cooking. It's a blender. It will boil your eggs, so you can determine how you want your yolk consistency, whether you want it runny, whether you want it soft, whether you want it medium, or whether you want it hard boiled. It's a kettle. Oh, hang on, have I got somebody else coming in? No. You can warm food up with it. You can thicken sauces. So that's particularly useful for things like hollandaise or bechamel. All you do is load the ingredients in, you weigh them in, and then click start, and then the Thermomix will take over and temperature control the cooking process. It's a rice cooker. It can ferment yogurt. It will slow cook as well, and it will sous vide. So they are all our functions. And you'll notice there's a big gap here. So we are continually updating these machines and giving it new modes and functionality. Thermomix have always said they would leave at least 5 years between models. We bought out this model in the middle of last year, so it's only 1 year old, but actually we know that the future of this machine is actually going to be delivered through software updates, so it gets better with age, and that's one of the only appliances on the market you can say will actually get better with age. So there are all our functions. So if I go back to find what we're going to cook this evening, I'm going to go back to my week, and then I'm just going to put on our main meal, which is my garlic prawns on there. Okay, but before I get started with this, I'm going to move across to this machine and do the tear and share bread. So this is how a typical recipe would look. Here's the start screen. I press start cooking and it walks me through it step by step. It's like having a chef in an earpiece telling you what to do. So I'm going to put my camera back up there like that. Now I hope nobody's walked off with my yeast, because just reminds me I haven't actually seen it this evening. So I wonder if it got put away earlier on. Let's have a little look. Can't see it in there. But I've always got plenty of yeast on hand. Yes, my husband's. It can be very useful sometimes, but equally very frustrating, because before I've even used something, he's behind me tidying it all away. You've all got husbands like that, or other halves like that. Right, so it's asking me to weigh in some water. I'm just going to get my water. I'm going to make it slightly warm, because although the Thermomix will warm the water up for you and bring it up to 37 degrees, in this demo, I want to be sort of finished cooking by about 8 o'clock tonight. So hopefully this will just enable things to go along a little bit more quickly. So my water goes in. I'm just going to add a little bit more, and you can see I'm actually halving this recipe because I made a load of rolls earlier. So I don't want to make loads of rolls, because my children are ever so fussy and don't like them because they've got sun-dried tomatoes in them, but they are just, I think they're fantastic. So the water goes in, a little bit of sugar, teaspoon of sugar going in. Okay, click on next, and then the yeast. So let's put my yeast in. No, that is empty, that yeast. So where is my correct yeast? There we are. So my yeast is just going to go in. I'm going to click through on the recipe, and then I'm going to add some bread flour to it. So you'll see If I can use these scales, I'll show you when I've just weighed in what it looks like on my screen. So I'm just using the inbuilt scales to weigh like that. Leave the flour behind. So that's 250 grams. And then some sun-dried tomatoes in oil. So all I'm going to do is just pull out my sun-dried tomatoes. They're going to go in whole. I probably don't have quite enough of these because I've actually used loads of them today. Oh, I might do just about 45 grams. Ooh, can I get one out? No, my fingers aren't quite long enough. I'll need a fork. So click on next, add some olive oil. So I'm actually going to add the oil from the jar because why not? Let's not waste anything in a kitchen. That goes in. So let me just show you what my screen looks like now. There you go. You can see I've got my instruction there. My weighing scales tell me that I've put in 15 grams. That's really handy. It's one of the features that I absolutely love, actually. Makes things so easy. It means you don't have to get scales out. You don't have to get bowls and things to weigh in. You can just do it all in the Thermomix. And now we're going to put our salt in. So a teaspoon of salt goes straight in. And then all I'm going to do is put that lid on and just set the knead function off. So the function is already preset. This is a guided recipe, so it knows what it's doing. All I have to do is add the ingredients in and then click the speed selector to start the process off. So that's just going to knead away for 2 minutes. And it's the knead function is quite interesting, actually. Let me just show you what happens. So you can see it kneading in there? Oh, I don't know if you can see it. It's a little bit dark. If I put a light through. That's a little bit better. There we go. So it's got this super fast, we call it a super fast knead function. It means you can knead pretty much any loaf in about 2 minutes, which is a lot better than either doing it in a bread maker or using a KitchenAid, which I used to do to make my own bread. Right. So while that's kneading, just put the lid on, I'm going to move on to my garlic prawn dish. So this time we're going to cook with the Thermomix, and that is what sets this machine apart from any other food processor or kitchen appliance, because it cooks at the same time as stirring or chopping or whatever other process that you need it to do. So let's put in the garlic cloves. It's wanting 2 garlic cloves. They're going to go straight in. Again, it's just talking me step by step through the recipe. And now it wants some parsley, which I put away earlier because I thought I'd finished with it. Let's put in some parsley, a few sprigs of parsley, in they go. And then a fresh chilli. Ooh. Let's see, I didn't get the chilli out earlier. De-seeded if preferred. Oh, I have got a chilli here. These aren't too hot, actually, these chilies. Do you know how to tell if before you use the chilli, how much you're going to need? I always have a little nibble of it and see how hot it is. It's actually not that bad at all, even with the seeds in. Let's just get rid of a few seeds, because my husband's a lot more sensitive to chilli than I am.
I was just going to say, if it was me, I'd be dancing even if I'd bitten the end off it. I do like chilies and that, but I don't like anything that just makes my mouth just too hot.
Yeah,
it spoils the taste for me.
Absolutely, and I mean, and again, you can put in or take out ingredients as required. These are guided recipes. You don't have to follow it to the letter. They're just suggestions, so you can amend all the recipes. Right, I'm going to put that in, and then we're going to put the lid on, just like that. This is quite a quick recipe actually to do, so you'll see how quickly it comes together. And then it's going to chop for me. So it's going to chop all of that garlic and the parsley and the chilli up together. So I'm just going to turn it to speed 7, and it's telling me on the front that it's chopping. And it's done it in what, was that 3 or 4 seconds? Anyway, I'm just going to check on my waiting room. No, I can't see if anybody else has come in. Okay, let me just come back to my screen. close that down. All righty, so that is the base. So that's what's happened in there in about, I think that was 4 seconds I did. So I'm going to scrape that down. And it actually gives me that instruction on the screen to scrape down the side. So actually, you know, these are so good, these machines, for people that can't cook, just need a little bit of confidence building. They're great for children because they walk them step by step through it and make it. It's got a touch screen on the front. What child doesn't love a touch screen? So it just makes it really relevant for them and very, very easy and also very safe as well. So now it wants me to add some olive oil. So I'm going to weigh the olive oil straight in. In it goes. And I'm halving the oil. It's recommended 40 grams. I think that's quite a lot. So I'm just halving it. And now, if I bring you to my screen, you'll see that my guided screen is preset for 2 minutes at 100 degrees. All I've got to do is turn that selector around to speed 1, and it's telling me it's cooking. So now I've got you off here. I'm just going to show you what my dough looks like. Here we go. So I've got beautiful dough in there. Because I've halved the recipe and I haven't done much, it's kicked up a little around the sides, which is what I would expect to see. And now we're just going to shape those rolls. So the easiest way for me of doing that, I might actually just move it back a little bit and let's move that back. I'm all plugged in with a light ring now, so I daren't dismantle anything. I've got a brand new tripod because I think my old one, I was running a sourdough workshop over the weekend. I did a series of Facebook Lives for customers. So we did every step of the process together. And again, that just shows you the sort of added value you get when you buy a Thermomix, because you get support to learn new skills and things that you never thought were possible before. And sourdough, so I ran a sourdough workshop with about 30 customers and took everybody through it step by step online. So let's get that out of here. And I'm just going to where's my dough scraper gone? I wonder if it's gone in there. I can't find my dough scraper. I'll just use one of that. Oh, yes. Night, night, darling. She's going to want to say bye-bye to everybody. She loves saying night, night, darling. Okay, so I'm just going to use this spatula. Actually, the spatula that comes with the Thermomix is really good for this. Just clean out the bowl and get everything out of here. Can you see okay there? I normally like to have you a bit closer, but yeah, I've got this brand new tripod. I was just in the middle of explaining that I was running the sourdough workshop, and halfway through my tripod snapped. the phone, the bit that held my phone just snapped off. So it ended up just sort of flopping down on its side. And I did the whole workshop in the end like that. So I had to buy a new one. I thought I'd invest in one with a light ring, but I'm not entirely sure how to use it at the moment. So let's just get all of that out and then give it a quick knead. And Alison, you'll be pleased to know, for hosting this demo for me this evening, you will get one of these beautiful baking mats as a thank you. So it's a silicone baking mat, which is fantastic. You can actually bake with them as well. You can cook with them in the oven, but they're really good for pastry work and kneading bread. So we're giving everybody who hosts a demo in November a little gift as a thank you.
Lyndsay,
so
do you want to just look see, because I think Caroline's going to join us without the video because she's her husband came home late. That's why she's
okay. Yeah, I haven't picked her up yet.
Yeah, she might be. She was just going to get a laptop.
Okay, right. Good time to have a swig of wine. Okay, so this is going to make about 5 rolls. What I want to do, I'm a little bit OCD when it comes to being in the kitchen, and certainly with portioning things. I like to weigh everything out. So I've got my little set of scales here. I could weigh on the Thermomix, but I was expecting to do it around there with my scales. But I want about 90 gram portions. Okay, so that they're all equal. And the reason we do this is so that they rise and they cook evenly. So that's just a bit of a chef's tip. I should be able to get out, that's slightly lower. And again, using this spatula, which is really good. 90, that'll do. Okay, so I've got my 5 rolls here. And then what I'm going to do, I just very quickly go what they call round the clock. So if you can see this, I'm just pulling out and bringing back to the center, pulling out. A lot of bakers don't do this, but I think it gives you a really nice shape on the finished roll. Pulling out, bringing back to the center, and again. You see, I didn't have to chop the sun-dried tomatoes, so Thermomix did that for me while it was kneading. So whilst I'm doing that, let's just go around there. And then all I'm going to do is just get my claw hand, which you'll see many a time if you watch Bake Off and Paul Hollywood. I'm going to do 2 at a time. And he always said that his father sort of said to him, you've got 2 hands, so if you do 2 at a time, I'm only going to pay you half a wage. There we are. Sounds like such a thing. Ah, here comes Caroline. Sounds like something a dad would say, isn't it? So we're just shaping those rolls, and I find this really therapeutic. But as you can see, it's taken no time at all, and it hardly took any time either to make the dough. So all I'm going to do is pop it onto a baking sheet like this. So I've just got a baking sheet, and you'll notice as well, if you make bread, you'll think, well, they haven't had a first proof, and a lot of the Thermomix breads don't have first proof, so it speeds up the process. So I'm just going to put them onto a baking sheet like that, fairly close together, because I like them to batch bake, and then cover with a sheet of greased cling film. So here's my greased cling film, and I reuse this time and time again. Pop it over the top. And then I'm going to put this into a 50-degree oven. So if you've got a proving drawer, you can put it in there. But we're just going to pop it into a low oven. So it's as low as it will go. And I've turned my fan off as well to do this. And they're just going to sit and prove for about 40 or so minutes. Okay. So let's pop those in the oven like this. I'm just going to turn that up slightly because it doesn't feel very warm in there. Okay, so they've gone in the oven. They're really, really quick, and that's sort of the whole principle behind a lot of the bread that we do in the Thermomix. It's exactly the same. I make these beautiful white farmhouse loaves. There is a 5-minute knead on that particular loaf because it's quite a big loaf. Then you put it straight into the Varoma. Now the Varoma is what you'll see. You can see this Thermomix here. Oops, it's rather hot because I'm steaming a Christmas pudding in there. It's got like a hat on. So it's got a steaming unit which sits on top. So the whole sort of philosophy behind these machines is that you can achieve multi-level cooking. So what that means is that it's a really efficient way of cooking. While you're cooking a soup or a sauce in the base, you can be steaming vegetables inside them within the simmering basket, and then you can be steaming something, so more vegetables or a protein, like this morning we did a tomato soup in the base, then I had rice cooking in the middle layer, and then I steamed a whole side of salmon in the top, and I'd made a marinade before so that the salmon cooked away in the marinade. So that's what Thermomix cooking is all about. It's about being able to stack things up, being a lot more energy efficient, but also being able to save a lot of time and effort and mess, because you are not using every pot, pan and utensil around you in the kitchen. It's all being done in one machine. So the Varoma is just sitting on there. But I was explaining that I also use the Varoma to ferment bread. So once I put my bread in my tin, I pop it into the Varoma, I set at the appropriate temperature. And again, that's all just done through the guided recipe. So you don't have to worry about it. It tells you what to do. It's like having a chef in an earpiece, just walking you step by step. And then I let it prove for about 35 minutes. It will prove up beautifully. It's in a lovely humid environment. So it makes the bread absolutely superb. And then all I do is take it out and pop it in the oven and bake it for half an hour. And that is how I make my white bread. And it is so easy and absolutely delicious. Right.
So if
Stop talking now.
if I came to you and said, can you do me a chicken Sunday roast, could you do that in there?
Yeah, so you can steam a whole chicken actually in here. So I can steam about a 2 kilogram chicken, which is certainly enough for 6 of us. And then while it's steamed, so you would have stock in the bottom, so you get your beautiful chicken stock. You can steam your potatoes and veggies all around it. So when I do my Sunday roast, I often will, we will roast the meat, although I can steam the chicken if I want to. And then I use the Thermomix. It will make my Yorkshire pudding batter. It will then steam all my vegetables. So I have my spuds in the simmering basket, and then I have parsnips, and I have carrots and swede and all stuff, or just layered up in here. So yeah, it will do the whole thing for you. And then of course you get, with the cooking water, you can then make gravy. So you can then make your gravy really easily at the end by following the step-by-step instructions. It will make a roux, and then it will thicken it all for you. So it really takes that pain and that mess. I mean, I used to have my kitchen look like a bomb site after I cooked a Sunday roast. And now I've only got the pan that the meat was cooked in and the Thermomix. So it's made things a lot more cleaner. Okay, so let's go back to the garlic prawns. It's sauteed away. So remember, we have the garlic in there. There's not much to see. I can bring you over, but it's just sauteed the garlic and the chili and the parsley in there in the olive oil. It looks absolutely lovely. It smells absolutely gorgeous. And then I'm going to add in, the next instruction here is add a can of crushed tomatoes. So all I'm going to do is just add a can of chopped tomatoes. Like that, they go in. A tablespoon of vegetable stock paste. Now, let me get my vegetable stock paste out. Again, this is fascinating. People are always fascinated by this. And this is one of the recipes that we encourage you to cook as a new owner, because it just shows you, it takes you through a very simple guided recipe. So now I make all my own vegetable stock now. I don't buy stock cubes, so I don't have to buy excess plastic or foil that just gets stuffed in the bin. And this is actually made, you can use peelings and the tops and tails of all your vegetables. You can actually freeze them when you prepare vegetables, put them in a bag, freeze them, and then use it to prepare this vegetable stock paste. It costs pennies to make. It makes about 1 kilo. It will sit in your fridge quite happily for about 6 months, maybe even more than that, because it's got a high salt content, which is the preservative, but of course the salt adds the flavour. So now I don't buy stock cubes anymore at all. And I have a lot of customers who are gluten intolerant, who have bought Thermomixes just because they can make their own stocks and soups from absolute basic ingredients, and they know exactly what's in it. They can control everything. And of course, you can vary the flavours in this, but you cook it down with a load of herbs. You basically fill up the Thermomix with loads of vegetables. It chops it all down for you. You add salt and some wine to it, and then it will stir and cook it for about 40 minutes while you go off and do something else. And then you come back, it looks like this, and all you've got to do is decant it into a jar. And by the way, you don't need to have a funnel anymore with a Thermomix to decant with, because you can simply use the Thermomix lid, which sits over the top of the jar like that, and then you can pour in it straight in. So same principle with jams and chutneys as well. So I make all our jam, I make lemon curd, I make chutney, I make tomato ketchup in this, and it costs a fraction of what it costs to buy it ready-made. And you know exactly what's in it. You can control the salt and sugar content and anything else as well. So let me put my vegetable stock in. People are always fascinated by this stock, actually. And it's a really easy way to add an awful lot of flavour to your dishes. And you can make it from pretty much peelings. So, you know, if you've got that zero waste philosophy, and again, a lot of people buy these machines. We buy machines for different reasons. For some, it's cost. It's all about money saving. For some, it's all about the time saving. For some, it's just an amazing gadget that looks incredible in the kitchen that all the professional chefs are using. So if you watch MasterChef, You will see them on the bench in MasterChef The Professionals. So people buy them for lots of different reasons, but again, we're seeing lots of people coming through buying them because it's helping them reduce their waste and their plastic consumption as well, which is fantastic. Okay, now some dry white wine. Oh, have I got a bottle of wine open? I don't often drink white wine. I nearly said I don't often drink wine, and that would be a complete lie. But the white wine, here we go. Let's put in 150 grams of dry white wine. Like that. Okay, a teaspoon of dried oregano. So where's my oregano? I've got a huge tub of it here somewhere because we get through an absolute load of it. Here's my dried oregano. That goes in. Okay, click on next. 2 pinches of sea salt. So I'm just reading out what I see in front of me on the screen. So the sea salt goes in. And then I'm going to put the lid on again. So where is my lid? Here's my lid. And then it's just going to cook now for 11 minutes at speed 1. So this is making the base of the tomato sauce. And then we're going to put some prawns in and steam the prawns over the sauce. And then the meal will be done. Although I am going to show you how to cook the pasta as well. Right, so my Christmas pudding is done, which is great timing. It's just beeped at me. So I'm going to take that off because I wanted to use the Thermomix for something else. So let's just take that off. And then I'm going to show you the pre-clean mode. So this has made the dough. All I'm going to do is put a little bit of water and washing up liquid in there to clean the blades. Just get a little bit out the top. I'm not going to run the full pre-clean because it takes about 8 minutes and I don't have that sort of time tonight. So I'm just going to blast it speed 10 for 10 seconds just to try and get it to clean itself. Because I want to make some butter and then I want to use the butter in the pudding that we're going to make. Okay. Okay, so that's 20 seconds at high speed. While that's just soaking, I'm going to take the opportunity to fill up my other Thermomix bowl with some water because I want to use it to cook my pasta with in a moment. So let's put that on there, like that. Lid on. Now, where's my insert? I swear there's a little fairy in this kitchen that comes along and steals things whilst I'm cooking, so I can't see them. Okay, so that's just really giving it a bit of a clean around for me, so it means I don't have to spend ages washing up. I'm just going to give it a quick empty out and a little wash round with my scrubbing brush. And then we're good to go. I'm going to make some butter next. Has anybody made butter before?
Not for years.
Not for you?
Yeah, it's years since I made any.
Yeah. Well, it's ever so simple. It takes about a minute. Your butter has to be at room temperature though, otherwise you just it takes a long time, much longer time. And sometimes you can also not get butter if your cream is very cold. That's a chef's tip actually. In order to prevent over whipping of cream, if you make it really, really cold, you won't ever be able to over whip it. So that's really interesting. So I'm just gonna dry out my bowl.
So once you've made some butter, how long would you say it lasts?
Well, you can freeze it. It would last in your fridge for about a week, I would say. Or you can freeze it, so it would last a lot longer. So I often portion it and freeze it. And again, you know, I like to make butter because butter is one of these dishes that showcases, again, the cost savings that can be achieved. So even people that say they cook from scratch, I will say to them, I bet you don't. Do you make your own butter? Do you make your own yogurt? Do you make your own tomato ketchup? And little by little, they'll say, oh, well, no, actually, do you make your own lemon curd? Do you make your own jams? And butter is one of those things. So I can buy 600 grams of double cream for about £1.80 in Asda or Lidl. And from that 600 grams of double cream, I will get about 380 grams of butter out. And then the rest will be buttermilk that I can use in a recipe. So I can use it in baking. I can, in fact, it's not the acidulated buttermilk. So, you know, you could put it in a scone or make some soda bread with it. But it wouldn't, you could equally use it in your coffee or have it over cereal as well. It's not that sort of acidulated stuff. It's more like whole milk that splits out from it. Yeah, so it will cost me about, it costs £1.80 for about 380 grams of butter. And if you think a block of Lurpak, what's that, about £2 now for 250 grams? Is it more than that? Yeah. So that it's more than £2 for less butter, and you don't get the rest of the buttermilk that you can use in baking. So you're getting free stuff to use with it as well. So it's a lot cheaper to make your own butter, and it's super easy. So I need to find my butterfly whisk. This is an attachment which comes with the Thermomix. So all of these attachments that you see, including the Varoma and the simmering basket, which I'll show you in a minute, come with the Thermomix. So there's nothing else to buy apart from a blade cover, which we bought out at the end of last year. And that can be useful for sous vide cooking and also slow cooking. It just stops the meat coming into, or the ingredients in the bowl coming into contact with the blades when they're turning, which can be a problem over a prolonged period of time. So we've got an optional blade cover, which is only £19. But other than that, everything else, even the spatula, comes with a Thermomix. So I'm just going to put my little the whisk in and give it a twist so that it nestles up next to one of the blades. Then let me come and find on my week. So I'm going to find my butter recipe on here. Scroll down. Oh, I've got brandy butter in there because I made some brandy butter earlier and brandy sauce to go with my Christmas pudding. Butter. Okay, so and press start cooking.
So your Christmas pudding, you've made that from scratch in your Thermomix? Yeah.
So I made it in, I showed, I did it as a live actually. I put the video up on my Facebook wall. So if you want to have a look at it at some point, Alison, please do. Yeah, so in 10 minutes today at lunchtime, I made a Christmas pudding and brandy sauce to go with the Christmas pudding. And then it's cooked this after, so it's steamed away in the Varoma. So not only does the Thermomix make your Christmas pudding, it also steams it as well, which is brilliant. So the butterfly whisk has gone in. Then it's saying to me, put 500 grams, so I've got about 600 grams here, of double cream in at room temperature. And again, when you make your own butter, you can add things to it. So you can add, this is obviously unsalted butter at the moment, but you can add a bit of salt. You can add chopped herbs, so you can add garlic or parsley or, you know, sun-dried tomatoes or gherkins or, you know, whatever it is. I've even seen a recipe on here for gorgonzola butter, would you believe? That sounds very exotic. There's lots of different things that you can do with butter. Okay. My cream is at room temperature now, which is really good. Out. I like to get every last little bit out. Just come out of here. Quit. Now, let me go in here. See if I've got pasta in here. Yeah, no. Okay. Right. So that goes in. Now what I'm going to do is just pop the lid on. Make sure my lid is clean. Make these bits of dough pinging off into my butter. This sauce cooking, I know you can't smell it, but it smells amazing actually. And often you can do, so you can make meatballs in similar principle. You make a tomato sauce in the bottom, and then you'll have made your meatball mixture in advance. You arrange the meatballs in the varoma, and whilst the tomato sauce is cooking, it's also steaming through your meatballs as well, which is really clever. Right, I'm going to put that lid on, and then I'm just going to turn the speed dial to speed 3.5, and it's just programmed to whip for about a minute. And I'm just going to leave that to run. So here's some of my butter that I had in the freezer that I defrosted. I used this butter this afternoon to make my Christmas pudding with. I just wrap it in greaseproof paper and pop it in the freezer. Right, so let's let that whip away. Oh, I can tell it's split out because it started to wobble and it's made a noise. So you can hear the liquid come out of it. That's just taken 30 seconds this evening, which doesn't surprise me because it's quite warm in this kitchen. So while it's doing that, I'm just going to get rid of a few bits and bobs and have a bit of a tidy around, because I can't bear the mess when I'm cooking. Like I said, I'm a little bit OCD when it comes, that's being a trained chef for you. We're always taught to not work in a messy environment. Okay.
No, we was always taught the same at school, not to work in a messy environment.
I'm just going to switch that machine off because I want my 5 to sync. And for some reason, it's not picking up my Wi-Fi, which I don't know. That's probably because all the children are on the Wi-Fi upstairs. Right. Okay. You can see, there we are. There's my butter in there. And can you see the buttermilk, the fluid? Mm-hmm. That's right. So what I'm going to do now is, if I can turn you around, I'll get a slightly different view of my kitchen here, and drop you down a bit. You see my sink there, hopefully. Oh God, this is the problem with this. There we are. I think you can see that now, can't you? What I'm going to do is, I've got a jug and then the simmering, one of our simmering baskets. So these machines, again, they're just designed really to replace, or to be the only piece of kitchen equipment you need in a kitchen. So the varoma unit, which is what we steam with, will function as a colander. This will function as a sieve. When I wash rice, I can wash my rice in this simmering basket, and then I can use this simmering basket to cook with. So it means I'm not having to use a sieve, an extra piece of equipment that's unnecessary. This insert that sits in the middle of my lid, it's a measuring cup. So you've got a 50 ml and 100 ml measure in there. So again, really versatile. Stops you having to search around your kitchen for lots of equipment. And again, of course, we've got the inbuilt weighing scales. So all I'm going to do now is take this butterfly whisk out, just put it bang on the side, and then pour the buttermilk through the sieve like that, and then the butter will drop out. It's quite warm in here, so it's very soft, this butter. Put that back on. My butter drops out. And then I'm not going to do this too much now with you because I can spend a few minutes doing it, but I just want to give you the general idea of what happens. So there's my buttermilk, and I'm just going to squidge it. My hands are clean. I'm going to squidge it on the sides like that. And you want to get as much of that buttermilk out as you can, because of course you can use that. That's, you know, your bonus, your extra bonus for making this butter. So there's my beautiful pat of butter forming. You can see all that buttermilk just draining out. And then what you want to do after you've done that is you wash it.
What, you wash the butter?
Yeah, you wash it with cold water. You'll think I've gone loopy. So I'm going to turn my tap on. You can see my tap here. I'm just going to make sure it's really cold. Like that.
There you go.
Let's just pick up some of that butter from around the side. It's so warm in my kitchen because I've got my ovens on, you see. It's just coming through slightly. So let's just pick up that butter. So it's nice cold water, and then all I do is wash out the rest of that buttermilk. Okay, and because fat and water won't mix together, it means you can't dissolve your butter as long as you haven't got hot water. I mean, if you've got hot water, you'd have a problem here, because of course you just melt the butter. But the cold water, it won't melt, and you just wash it until the until the buttermilk is totally out and the liquid coming out runs clear. Okay, that's all you need to do. So you've got clear liquid. It doesn't take too long, but like I said, I'm not going to spend ages doing that because it's not terribly interesting you watching me do that. And there's your beautiful pat of butter. So then you can shape that. You can add salt to it. You can add herbs to it. You can add garlic to it. You can freeze it. You can use it directly in a recipe. So we're going to use it in my little pudding, the blueberry and white chocolate tray bake. I'm just going to let that drain down slightly, leave that on the sink, and handle it up, just sits on the sink. And then I can use this, I'll be able to get rid of that tomorrow. I'm going to just give that a wipe underneath. So I probably will either, you can even make porridge with this in the morning. And again, the Thermomix will make your porridge. So it will perfectly boil your eggs, and then it will cook you some beautiful porridge, and it will make you a little fruit compote or puree as well to go on that porridge. Right. Okay, let's just get rid of the rest of that. Now I need to just work out how I'm going to tip you back up again and turn you around without knocking everything off of my units. And I'll just position you back down, I think, a little bit like that. Can you see again?
Yeah.
There we are. Right, I'm just curious as to why my 5 is now not syncing. Let me have a look at my settings, see if it's picked up my Wi-Fi. So it says it's connected. Well, I don't know what's going on there. Right, not to worry. I'm not going to worry about that. What I am going to look up, though, is I'm going to come out of my butter recipe and I'm going to go onto my weekly planner. And I'm going to find...
We're looking at the floor.
Oh, you're looking at the floor. Yes, you've dropped down. I think I need to tighten it up a little bit. There we are. Okay, so I'm just going to... I've got my boiled pasta recipe ready to go on here. But what I'm going to do, quick active recipe, so put the water in. I'm going to heat up that water, so it is about 100 degrees anyway. Add some salt. Right, I'm going to add some pasta into here. So I'm just going to drop the pasta in like that. Okay, I'm just reading the recipe on the screen, and then I'm going to give it 10 minutes. So I'm going to manually set this for 10 minutes because that's the cooking time on this pasta at 100 degrees. And then turn the speed selector to 1, and you'll notice what happens when it's cooking the pasta. It's going to turn around. Can you see it turning around? Yeah. Like that? It's quite good fun. Okay, before I just come back to do my pudding, I want to just do the final step with my prawns. So my prawns have defrosted now. I've got some lovely raw prawns here. I'm going to pick up one of my simmering baskets. Just put my prawns into the basket. And these prawns, because we're steaming them, they're going to remain beautifully plump and juicy. I want to get rid of the excess. They've been frozen, so they're quite wet. Let me show you. So I've just put my prawns in my basket. Look how beautiful they are. And then, so it was asked me to insert the simmering basket, so that goes inside. Let's turn you back round again. And then I put my prawns in, and now I've just got to put my lid back on. So the lid goes on, And those prawns are going to, it says 5 minutes. We'll have a look. They're exceptionally large prawns, so I might need to give them a couple of extra minutes. But the sauce is going to continue to cook underneath, that beautiful tomato, chili, garlic and parsley sauce. And then the prawns are going to steam through in the simmering basket inside. And while that's doing that, I'm going to do the final dish this evening. So it's not too bad. I've only been going for about 45 minutes. We are going to make a blueberry and white chocolate tray bake, which just sounds absolutely divine. So it's asked me to preheat the oven, which I have done, and then grease the sides and line the base of a cake tin with baking paper. Right, now it's going to ask me to put some white chocolate in. All I've got here is packets of white chocolate. I always buy the little one. I think the little chocolate is fantastic. And it's a lot cheaper than other places. And it's also fair trade as well. So it's brilliant. So my white chocolate goes in. Now this is going to make a bit of a racket because it's chocolate pieces. I'm putting the lid on and it's going to chop it all up. So if you've got sensitive hearing and your volume is turned up, turn your volume down now. That is my warning. Right, ready? We're going to chop it up in 6 seconds. So you can actually temper chocolate in a Thermomix and make ganaches and do all sorts of fun, clever chocolate work. Right, I'm going to just chop that down again because it's slightly wet my bowl, so it's just slipped around. There we are. I wanted a few smaller chunks. So you can go back and rerun each step if you need to. So I'm just going to empty that out. Let's do it up like that so you can see. So my chocolate's coming out of there. Get as much chocolate out as I can. So another little money saving tip for you here. I only ever buy white granulated sugar now because you can make your own caster sugar, you can make your own icing sugar. So caster sugar takes me 2 seconds from granulated sugar to make, and icing sugar takes me 10 seconds from granulated sugar. Now, icing sugar is double the price of granulated sugar, in fact, over double the price in the supermarket, which I can never understand because all it is more finely processed sugar. And caster sugar is more expensive as well. But gone are the days where you have to buy multiple packets of sugar. You only need this in your cupboard. You can actually even make your own brown sugar. You can make your own golden syrup as well. And there's all sorts of other things that you can make as well in that regard. So it's asking me for half an orange, thin peelings of skin. So again, you don't need to zest. You don't need a separate piece of equipment to zest oranges or lemons. It's just a little peeler and you can take the skin off. And then what we're going to do is grind it up with our sugar. So it's going to smell amazing in here in a minute. Okay, let me just work out how much sugar in total because I haven't got any caster sugar ready made. So I'm going to need the whole lot, 180 grams of sugar. There we are. So I'm going to put 180 grams of my sugar in along with the orange zest, and it's going to make a beautiful orange flavoured sugar. So it's exactly the same when you make like a lemon drizzle cake. So I just peel my lemons and put my sugar in at the start, and then it grinds. So I don't have to stand there for ages zesting. It just does it all in a matter of seconds for me. So put the lid on. Yeah, 10 seconds at speed 10. So let's see what happens. There we are. And while that's doing that, I'm going to have another swig of wine. Has anybody got any questions so far?
You know, is there a lock on the lid?
Yeah, so the lid locks. When the machine's in use, it locks. So, and there's a safety mechanism. So after it's locked in place, you have to wait, after it's been cooking, you have to wait 8 seconds for the lid to release. Yeah. So these arms here come and lock the lid on so it can't fly off. Yeah. And then when it's finished the step, as long as it's not been cooking, these locking arms will release immediately. But if it's hot, it will just take 8 seconds just for it for the steam to kind of go off.
Right. So, and if you've just got one of these, you know, like you're doing the recipe with the pasta, obviously,
Yeah.
does it tell you which order to do everything?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm just doing it consecutively because we've only got a certain amount of time. I mean, I could cook all night, but I'm sure you guys have got better things to do. So let me just show you what's happened. So there we go. I've got all of that orange peel has just been ground up with the sugar and made an ice, like an icing sugar. Right, now it wants 220 grams of butter. So I'm going to use, of course, I'm going to use my own homemade butter here. That goes straight in. Why wouldn't you? Amazing. Oh, I thought I'd overshoot. Now I'm going to have orange flavor butter. There we are. Pop the butter back. I've already put the caster sugar in, 3 medium eggs. So this is the same principle when you're making any cake. It takes me 15 seconds to make a lemon drizzle cake in here. I just put all the ingredients in and then process it for 15 seconds. Now, I don't know any other piece of kit on this planet that can make a cake in 15 seconds. So it just makes it very accessible. So if you think you're, you know, if you're a kind of a mum who would love to bake but just doesn't have time, then having one of these will allow you to do that baking because it takes no time at all. So my 3 eggs go in. A teaspoon of vanilla sugar. Well, I don't have a vanilla sugar, but again, this is something that you can make yourself. You would grind up a vanilla pod with some sugar, and then you can store it in a jar, but I'm just going to use some vanilla extract in there. I'm going to have a quick look at my rolls and see what's happening. Oh, they haven't come up. They started to rise, but they're nowhere near where I want them to be. So what I'll do is I'll post pictures later of everything that I've baked off, but I want them to prove for at least another 15 minutes, actually, if not slightly longer. They're going in there, back in there. Okay, where am I? So I'm going to pop that lid on, and now it's saying it's going to mix for 40 seconds at speed 4. So while it's doing that, the idea is then you can just go off and you know, you can clear up, or you could go and pour yourself another glass of wine while the Thermomix is taking care of all these processes for you. So what have I got going on? My pasta, you can see over here, my pasta has sort of sunk into the water. My prawns say that they've steamed through, so I am going to, oh yes, they look lovely. I'll bring you over and show you those. So it says stir prawns with spatula to ensure even cooking. Let's just give them a little stir, but I can tell they're done. Let me show you, because of course they've changed colour. So let's just, can you see how big and juicy they are? They haven't shriveled up. Often that's the case when you cook prawns. They end up about 1/4 the size when you put them in. So they're done. Now it wants me to give them another 3 minutes, but I'm just going to leave them actually, because I haven't put the full amount of prawns in, because this is a recipe for about 4 people and it's just me and my husband eating this tonight. So I'm going to leave that. And then right at the end, it just gives you a little serving suggestion. So it shows you how you can serve it, and it suggests that you serve them with fresh crusty bread and lemon wedges on the side. Now, I'm going to do it with some spaghetti and have it more like a sort of a pasta sauce, because I haven't got any crusty bread. Okay, so that's mixed in beautifully. Now I want to add some plain flour. Now, where is my plain flour? Here we are. It's the trouble when you put it all in the same sort of boxes. I can't quite tell what I've got, and my labels have fallen off. Okay, so let's put in my flour. Oh, I've just overshot a little bit. Pull it out. Oh, I overshot quite a lot actually. That'll do. Okay, so that's my other machine beeping at me, telling me that the pasta is cooked. So my plain flour is done. A teaspoon of baking powder. Leave that out of the way. A teaspoon of baking powder goes in. A pinch of sea salt. Looking around for my salt. There we are, it's about a pinch. And then I'm going to put the lid on and it's just going to mix all those ingredients together. So when I make brownies, for example, it will melt my chocolate to start with, but it will make sure it holds that chocolate at a constant temperature, so it will make sure that it doesn't burn. It will also melt the butter, and then you just keep adding the ingredients in. So it just saves you having lots of different bowls and processes going on at the same time. Okay, now add the reserved chopped chocolate. So that's what my cake mixture looks like in there. And to pop my reserved chopped chocolate in there. And then it's asking me to pop the lid on again and turn to speed 3. Now my blades have come into reverse here. So that means, so our blades, they spin in 2 different directions. One side of the blade is sharp. So when it spins in that direction, it will do the chopping and the mincing and the grinding action. And when it spins in the reverse direction, it's a blunt edge. So it will just gently stir. So that's what will come on when you do a risotto, for example. Fantastic thing to cook in a Thermomix because it does it all for you. Gone are the days where you have to lovingly add a ladle at a time of stock into your risotto. It does the whole thing for you in about 20 minutes whilst you go off and do something else. Okay, so finish mixing by hand with a spatula, transfer to the prepared tin and then scatter the blueberries over the top. So let me, again, I will just put my Thermomix back a little bit and do it in front. So where is my tin? That is the question. Here we are. Just get my spatula. So there's my lovely mixture coming out. It's absolutely beautiful, actually. And then what I will do, often you can see that there's mixture just stuck on the blade. So I'll just pop it back on with the lid. And then I'm just going to run turbo for about 2 seconds, which will just spin that mixture off the blade. Try and spread it out across the tin. What I didn't do is finish mixing the chocolate, so it's not actually evenly distributed. So I'm just going to fold a little bit over to this side, which doesn't seem to have a huge amount of chocolate. There we go, that looks a bit better. Then you'll see what happened. So can you see it's just cleaned those blades and it's spun everything off around the side. So all I need to do is just pick it up with my spatula from the edge. And then I will get it to clean itself afterwards as well. So that goes in. This is where my children go, I don't like blueberries. Actually, one child definitely likes blueberries, but the others aren't so keen. But hopefully when they're baked in a like a white chocolate blondie, they might not be so fussy. But you never know. I think they're kids after all. I think they do it deliberately. So that, I'm just going to leave that there. And I've got my blueberries. Here's my lovely blueberries, which I actually picked up for an absolute steal in Asda a couple of weeks ago. They were reduced to £1 from £3. And I've had them in the fridge ever since, and they're absolutely fine.
Blueberry, they do tend to last quite a while though.
Yeah, they do, don't they? Right. There we go. So that's about 125 grams. And then I'm just going to, does it say what to do with them? evenly, pushing some in gently with the back of the spoon. So I'll just do that. I'm just going to push them in, and it will rise up anyway, so I don't need to worry too much about it, but I don't want them to burn on top. So that looks absolutely lovely. Okay, pretty good. That last little bit off. And oh, I don't want to drop my fork in there. Now bake for 40 minutes, and it's also advising me to cover with foil after 30 minutes to ensure that it doesn't go too brown on top. So that's going to go in. My oven is already set to 180. I had it cleaned earlier, so it's all sparkling and lovely in there. And I'm just going to set a timer for 20 minutes so that I don't forget to put the foil on top. Now, obviously, we won't be on the Zoom call together when it comes out of the oven. But what I'll do is I'll post the pictures on my Thermomix Whiz customer group and also send them to Alison as well, so that you'll pick them up. Right, night,
everybody.
Right, you're going to bed? Yeah. Okay, you've done some reading. Fantastic. Okay, so that is pretty much the end of the demo. What I will do is, I'm going to just check my bread. Just wanted to show you a little trick with the spatula. Now, Bulwark, who designs these appliances, really do think of everything. So this is the spatula which comes with it. You can see it's got a little lug here. Now, all I've got to do is just pop that lug into the simmering basket, and it enables me to lift it out. There's a little lip as well on the handle, and you can just set the basket on the top for it to drain down as well. So it's really, really clever. And then what I will do is I'm just going to put the prawns into that sauce like that and give them a stir through. And then I'll bring you over so that you can see what it looks like. I will again post some pictures. So if you don't follow me on Facebook and you want to find out a little bit more about Thermomix, please feel free to join my Thermomix Whiz customer group. I also have a page, Lyndsay Sadler, Independent Thermomix Advisor, which you're also welcome to follow. But I do most of my work on the customer group. So all the recipe stuff I put on there. So let's just bring you over and show you. So there we are. That's the garlic prawns with the tomato, chili, parsley and garlic sauce. And then my pasta, you'll see it's just sat in the water there. Ready to drain and serve, and I can drain that through the Varoma or one of the simmering probably drain it through my simmering basket actually, so it means I just don't have to use a sieve or a colander to drain that. Let me just have a quick check while you're still watching on my rolls. So look, they're looking a lot better now. So these are the rolls. I again would like to give them, I would say, another 10 minutes or so, and then I'm going to bake them. So I will just bake these at 180 degrees. Now, obviously, I will remove the cling film and then I'll bake them at 180 degrees for about 15 minutes. And I mean, you can't do better than that. You saw how quick they were to make, and you can have these ready and on the table within just over an hour. But I am going to leave them for a little bit longer because I like them to be really lovely and puffy. Okay, so has anybody got any questions for me? You've all been watching. Have you enjoyed that? Have you seen something different tonight that you weren't? Yeah.
I think for me there was a curiosity behind sort of how everything worked, because obviously when I saw you earlier on this year, you were doing soup.
Yep.
And you know it, and like what you've done tonight is you put a meal together, so it just sort of shows you you know, how quick it can be done. I mean, obviously, like you said, the fact that you've got the 3 makes it even quicker, but for demos, it's the only way forward. So
yeah, and that's right. I mean, there is obviously a demo. I've only got an hour or so I do like to be able to show the versatility. And often, I mean, I made this earlier, which is a Sicilian, an old-fashioned lemonade. Now this, I don't know, Alison, if you've seen me do that at a networking group, but this is made in 2 seconds from whole lemons. So I put granulated sugar in, I turn it into icing sugar in about 10 seconds. Then I put whole lemons just halved into the Thermomix, add 500 grams of water, and then just run the program for 2 seconds at speed 9, top it up with 500 grams of water, and then I strain it through. You can see the simmering basket actually here. You can see there's a vent.
Yeah.
So you strain the lemonade into a jug through the vent, and you get this beautiful cloudy lemonade. Now, I was doing so that cost me the cost of 3 lemons, which is about 75, 80p, something like that. If you go to Pizza Express and have a small glass of their cloudy lemonade, it's £2.85. So it just shows you the sort of savings that you can achieve when you, and it's restaurant quality. I mean, it tastes exactly the same as the one that you get in Pizza Express, but you just perhaps wouldn't think to do it yourself. It can be done without a Thermomix, but it's certainly not as easy or as quick. Or the results are not as generally not as reliable. So we would say that if you follow our recipes step by step, they are guaranteed to be restaurant quality. If you start altering ingredients, then they're not, because of course you're then deviating from what we know to work. But it's just about giving people a little bit of inspiration and the ideas of what they can do and how versatile these machines are. I mean, one machine can make drinks, it can make butter, it can make a full main meal, it can cook pasta, it can make puddings, it can make cakes, biscuits, you know, it can do so much. And then it can make all your jams and chutneys and yogurt. I mean, to be able to ferment yogurt overnight, again, it's a huge cost saving. So it costs me about 75p. So I always use UHT milk when I make my yogurt. And then I use yogurt from a previous batch. And I will add a probiotic capsule to it, but I can make 1,500 grams of yogurt for about 70p. And if you were to buy it in Asda, it would cost about, that amount would cost about £5. Oh, I've gone brain dead now after 3 demos. In fact, it probably cost even more if you were to buy proper sort of organic, beautiful, creamy, rich yogurt. It would cost you an awful lot more than that. And it's just an absolute doddle to make in the Thermomix. So that's the sort of the philosophy behind who we are and what we do. And you know, it'd be lovely if if some of you are going to join us. I think Lyndsay, you're quite keen, aren't you? After we chatted last night,
I wake up in the morning thinking about him. I don't dream about Fairman, but I do wake up thinking about him.
Yeah. And that's when you know, I mean, that's when that sort of shift is made in your mind that you've got to have one. And yes, the cost is off-putting. You know, it put me off, as I said earlier, for quite a few years. But really, I wish I'd have known then what I know now, and what I see time and again with my customers, that the cost is the least of your worries really with one of these, because you will get that back and so much more as well. So yeah, so if you've got if you're interested in buying after this, then please get in touch with Alison, or for those I know directly, obviously you can come straight to me. Alison will point you in my direction. What I would say is, do not go on the website and buy on our website. So if you do that, it will mean you won't get assigned an advisor, and you won't get that help to be able to get the most out of your machine. And the biggest problem with that is advisors don't get paid if you just order direct. So we would encourage everybody to come back to their advisor and talk to their advisor about the best ways of ordering. And you can either pay outright in one instalment, or you can do it on a sort of a spread payment basis over 1, 2 and 3 years, and we will help you with that. And then we will hold your hands throughout your whole journey with Thermomix with us.
So if you did it over a period of 3 years, how much interest do you pay on it? What does it work out?
So it's 9.9% APR.
Yeah.
So I think the interest works out at about, off the top of my head, Alison, you're putting me on the spot here. I've got all the payment splits, but it's about £200, something like that, over the 3 years.
Yeah.
And so, you know, over the 1 year, it's around about 100. It's just under £100, I think.
So, like you say, the offer, the Black Friday offer, if you got the 2 and paid for them over a period of time, you're still getting a bargain anyway.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, even with the interest, you will save at least, if you're using this machine to its full potential, you will save double what you pay out on your to buy the machine. And that is just a process. That's why they're sold in this way, because you have to, it's like a mindset shift really that has to happen, because all of a sudden people go, oh yeah, actually I am. A lot of people don't realize when they go around the supermarket how much more they are overpaying. So for us, it's about showing people that they can quickly and easily make food from scratch in the Thermomix, which saves them a huge amount of money at the checkout. So you're just diverting a portion of generally what you're already spending and using it to finance the Thermomix. And then at the end of it, you've got your Thermomix for life. And these things last year. Prue Leaf has still got her old TM31 from about 20 years ago, and she refuses to upgrade because it's still working brilliantly.
Yeah. Right, well, I haven't got any more questions, so I don't know about anybody else. But like you say, if anybody wants to ask anything, my glasses are doing my head in it, my new ones.
Oh, bless you. Well, look, I've rattled through that in an hour and a half, which is I'm really pleased with. I haven't droned on too long. I think these are about ready to cook. So let me just show you these. These look lovely and puffy. You see, they've come up a bit. So I'm going to pop them in the oven now. And then, yes, try and inflict these on my children tomorrow. I'll just preheat the oven. But again, I mean, this actually, if you left this as dough, I've left this when I've done these at demos and come back with the dough because I've already made the rolls in advance for people to try. I've made pizza dough with it. And it makes fantastic pizza dough with the sun-dried tomatoes in it. And then they eat it. And it's all smothered in cheese and they can't see what's in it. So cunning, huh?
Yes, very.
Brilliant. Okay, well, has anybody else got any questions? I will just have a quick look at the chat, although I don't think there's been anything in the chat this evening.
I think we've all been too intent on watching what you've been doing.
Yes, I'm getting hotter and hotter with those.
I bet you are. And like
whack.
you say, if you've done 3 demos today, you must be flagging now. So.
That's right. I started at about 5 o'clock this morning planning out what I was going to do and just finalising, what I was going to do at what point. So, and then I had to fit in a trip down to Asda as well, because I've got a demo tomorrow morning with actually a big food producer who's looking at using them in their test kitchens for making actually vegetable stock with, so they don't have to buy it in, so they can control all the ingredients. So yes, I've got a meeting at 10 o'clock tomorrow with a big food manufacturer, so that's going to be very exciting.
Can I ask, Lyndsay, you said about making jam? Yes. And so I was brought up in Scotland where you make jam in a big Chilli pan on a big gas stove, and it's a massive thing. And you have jam sugar, which is really specific. So can you make your granulated sugar into the jam sugar?
Well, jam sugar's just got added pectin in it.
Right.
So it's just sugar with pectin, with fruit pectin. You can buy fruit pectin.
So the recipe is granulated sugar, chucking some pectin. Yeah.
But actually, when I make strawberry jam, so depending on the sort of fruits you're going to use, when I've made strawberry jam, I've not had to add any extra pectin, and I certainly don't use jam sugar. I just use granulated sugar. So all the recipe is you put your granulated sugar in, you hull your straw, we'll take the green tops off the strawberries, put them in whole, chop all the strawberries up, mix it all around with the sugar, and then you run jam for about 40 minutes. Let's just have a quick look on here. So if I show you how, I'm just going to search for strawberry jam on here. Strawberry jam, here it is.
It's coffee.
So you would just be amazed at how quick this is. So the suggestion here is for 500 grams. You can obviously double this. I mean, it would take a lot more than 5, but most people would only sort of want to make a couple of jars at a time. Some lemon juice. So that will help set it as well. About 375 grams of sugar. And again, you can control the sugar. So if you reduce it slightly, You put the aroma dish on the lid, so that just acts as a splatter guard basically, and make sure the jam is not splattering out everywhere. So that's quite clever. 35 minutes. It's going to cook at aroma temperature. You just turn the speed selector to speed 1, and you go out on a dog walk and test the setting point of jam, and then pour it into the warm glass jars. So that's all that's involved in making jam. It's so easy, it's ridiculous.
What about if you want to replace like sugar with the like the substitute sugars?
Yeah, so you can make, actually, you can do a chia seed jam in here. So the chia seeds will naturally thicken it. I'm sure there'll be a recipe on here. I haven't personally done it, but we do have collections for people following a sort of low sugar diets, as we have collections for people following all sorts of diets. So if you're gluten intolerant or dairy free, you will find all sorts of things on here to be able to cook, or low salt diets, if you're diabetic as well. So you would just have to have a look on our database of recipes in order to find, a suitable recipe. But if you use sugar replacements, it isn't a like for like replacement. That's all I know. It's quite difficult to do it, but if you want to make a low sugar jam, the way to do it is with chia seeds, because it thickens. So the sugar is in there to thicken, because as the sugar gets to sort of the 105 degrees, it naturally thickens. So if you're taking all the sugar out, you're going to need to replace that sort of thickening ability with something else. So you generally tend to find chia seeds being used, because they absorb water and they swell up, and then you can reduce the sugar content accordingly, or use other sweeteners. Yeah. So I've got quite a few nutritionists actually amongst my clients, and I've had nutritionists as part of the team as well. And they use these machines with their clients, because a lot of their clients want to eat more healthily but don't know where to start. So this is an ideal appliance to have, because it will teach them right from scratch how to cook, and how to cook healthy meals at home for themselves. And I think that's the problem these days, is we've just lost that, but we don't teach cookery in school anymore. So lots of kids are coming out, they just don't know what to do. And it's really sad. And even sort of grown-ups, my age, don't know how to cook either. When I was going through school, they took all our home economics labs out and turned them into language and science labs. So they were like, no, they don't need to know how to cook. You'll pick that up as a life skill. But in reality, with every generation that goes through, those skills are lost, because the parents don't know themselves how to cook and how to pass on their skills. So if you've got children that are leaving home, what an amazing gift to give them.
We did actually see last night. Tara and I were laughing, because our kids are quite far off university yet, but we were talking about it, and I said, so university essentials, a Thermomix.
Yes. Absolutely. Wedding presents. So actually over in Europe, Thermomix is a lot more established, and it is the #1 wedding present in France, Italy and Spain. So families will club together to buy the bride and groom a Thermomix when they set up home together. But we're just a little bit behind that in the UK. So, yeah, we'll get there one day. It's my mission. Okay.
Thank you.
Right.
Well, I'll speak to you tomorrow, or just give me a ring when you're free. I'm at home.
Okay.
I don't think I've got anything in my diary.
Yeah, tomorrow. Pleasure. Right. If you obviously you can leave at any time. But yes, Alison, we'll catch up tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
I'll
Bye.
leave you to eat now.
Thank you.
Okay.